Hello, my name's Oliver Parnham. I am a Health, Safety, Environment and Quality degree apprentice for Ceva Logistics.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm an Environment and Sustainability Manager.
So, Catherine, in the world of logistics, what does sustainability mean?
Sustainability is about being responsible for communities, for people, and for the planet. So it's making sure as a logistics business that we are working in a way that's not harming the planet or anyone that lives on it.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give me an overview of your career up to this point?
Yeah, so my role at Ceva Logistics is my first full-time role. Prior to that, I obviously did the traditional GCSEs and A-level studies, and then I went to university to study environmental science. I was in my first year living away at university, and I just decided that path wasn't for me. I didn't find that the content was stimulating enough, and I would benefit more from being in sort of that real working environment. So I applied for my role at Ceva Logistics with an interest in environment and sustainability, and then here I am today, 3 years down the line. So yeah, that's sort of my career up to this point. How about you, Catherine?
So I joined Ceva 14 years ago. I started off through an agency, just in a temporary role, and that led quickly to me seeing that there was a job opening in our HR department. So I went for that, stayed there for 4 years while I was doing an environmental studies degree in my spare time with the Open University, because that was an interest of mine. And then once a job position came up in the HSEQ department, I went for that, which I was successful in getting that position. And after my first year in HSEQ, I was promoted to an environment advisor. And then 4 years after that, I was promoted again to environment and sustainability manager. I will shortly be changing roles again and joining our European CSR team, which is a newly formed team in Ceva, as a CSR project manager for Europe.
Could you give us a snapshot of your daily or weekly tasks that you tend to get involved with?
Yeah, so on a daily basis, no day is ever the same. So on a monthly basis, we'll be doing the KPIs. There's a lot of data gathering, analysis, and we have to report that information back to the business so that we can tell everyone how we're performing against all of our environment and sustainability targets. But every other day is completely different. So throughout the year, I will have set the strategy for the business for environment and sustainability. And that will involve lots of different projects and campaigns. There could be some training and awareness that we roll out to the business, and various different site visits. And then anything that we have thought is a key, I'm trying to think, what's the word? And any key priorities that we have decided we'd like to focus on throughout the year, we will make sure that there's some sort of project or awareness campaign for those topics. And then, this just could be various site visits. I also support the business in any customer CSR presentations and trying to help the business win new business. Mm-hmm. How about you in your role?
So similar, a similar situation with myself, that no 2 days are the same. And we work on a host of different projects that take us to all avenues of the business. Regular tasks that I do get involved in is coordinating our HSEQ training program, which allows us to train out health, safety and environmental courses for the business as a whole. I also support our operations with things such as our environmental standards, which allows them to make strides towards becoming better sustainable operations. Liaising with our site-based environmental champions is something that I do very often, obviously being such a small team with plenty of sites, it's important that we engage with all of our sites. So having those champions based at site allows us to cast our message wide and far.
Yeah, compliance plays a key role in what we do together as a team. So we'll be making sure we go and visit sites to check whether or not they are causing any environmental damage, which hopefully they won't be, and advising them on how to make sure that they reduce risks to the environment. On a day-to-day basis, I'd also be looking at our management systems. So we have ISO 14001, and we're currently rolling out ISO 50001, which is an energy management system. So we would be working with sites to make sure that they're following all those procedures, which essentially mean that they're not harming the environment and reducing risks to the environment. And with energy management systems, it's looking at reducing our energy use. Do you have a background in science or environmental study to work in sustainability?
So other than an interest and a passion for sustainability and the environment, I don't have any professional background in the role. Obviously, within my studies, it was something that we touched base upon. And I did study further for 1 year at university, but I wouldn't say it isn't critical to have that sort of background to work in a role such as this. There's other avenues, other skills that sort of provide the basis to work in a role such as this. So that project leadership, project management is very important. Good communication skills, being competent on Excel and other Microsoft platforms probably takes priority. But I think it really comes down to having a passion for environment and sustainability allows for me to really push myself in my role and help the business to make strides in the subject.
Yeah, absolutely. So even though I've got a degree in environmental studies, I think one of the key ways to be able to get into an environment and sustainability role is getting some experience. Yeah. So any kind of training that you can get that could be through IEMA. So we both have IEMA membership. I'm a full member of IEMA, and you're working towards practitioner membership. I'm also a chartered environmentalist through IEMA. So I think that's a key way because they provide some really great routes through training, and their membership platform lays the path for the sort of understanding that you need for an environment and sustainability career. And yeah, I just think on the job training is absolutely key to a career in environment and sustainability.
Having that on the job training allows you to become familiar with those the pieces of legislation that you should be aware of, the various laws that might affect the business you're working within. So getting that on the job experience is really important, and allows you to essentially be a useful tool to the company, to have that knowledge base of those impacting pieces of law.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just getting your foot in the door of a business like Ceva allows you then to choose what career avenue you want to go down, because once you're in, there's so many training options and degree apprenticeships. Once you're an employee, you can choose all kinds of different pathways, and environment sustainability is one of them. And I think it's a really interesting career path as well.
Definitely. But what's something that you do in your role that some people may be surprised by?
I think that one of the key elements of environment and sustainability is needing to know where you are to know how to improve. So data gathering is an absolutely huge part of our job. The collection of data and the analysis of that information and making sure that it's accurate information. And I think it may surprise people just how much information we need, because to understand the carbon footprint of a business the scope is absolutely huge. You have to think about any energy use that is associated with your business, even if it's indirect, which when you think about any interaction that you have with any suppliers, third parties, waste collection, literally anything, that scope is absolutely massive. So it's very interesting to find out just how far the reach is of a business. It's also very complex in being able to gather all that information as well.
Yeah, I would agree. Certainly to calculate our scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, there's so many avenues of data that it can sometimes be a bit of a mind boggle, all the different all the different data sets that we have to deal with. I think sort of one of the area of our work that might surprise people is like sort of the training we have to do. So obviously we have a large workforce, and educating that workforce is also a big part of our roles. So we roll out training ourselves via Teams or face-to-face workshops that cover our environmental strategy, our environmental compliance obligations, and that's something that we roll out ourselves, and get involved with educating our workforce and improving their knowledge as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sheer scope of who we have to contact in our day-to-day work, because sustainability reaches everyone. Everyone has some kind of role to play in what we do as a business and how sustainably we do it. So we could be involved with our employees, but also with our customers and our suppliers. And it's a hugely broad spectrum that we have to work under, which makes it really interesting because no day is ever the same.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the biggest sustainability challenge that the sector has faced?
So as a sector, I believe the biggest challenge that we'll face is the decarbonising our fleet and eliminating our transport emissions. As a company, 95% of our carbon footprint is as a result of our transport, and eliminating those emissions to ultimately become net zero is going to be a real challenge. In the current market, solutions such as EV trucks, they don't offer a suitable solution for a business such as ourselves at the moment in most cases, with things such as limited range, potentially a low payload. For many of the routes that we need to run, they just don't offer us a viable solution.
Not to mention the cost of EV trucks
Exactly,
at the moment. The larger trucks are about 3 times the price at the moment.
And if we were to invest in them in a large scale, that it would ultimately make us uncompetitive in terms of price. So they become an unviable solution. This does offer us the opportunity to explore alternative fuels, as we are doing so. And we've implemented HVO across our fleet, which is hydrogen treated vegetable oil, and this offers a low carbon emission alternative to diesel. This will be a challenge that the whole sector's got to face, not just ourselves and not just us as a team. It's everyone's challenge within the business.
Yeah, so I completely agree with that. So there is currently limited availability for EV charging across our network from a public charging network perspective. So that's obviously a huge drawback. We need to make sure we have high capacity chargers in all of our sites. Which is also very difficult to be able to install because we don't have the electricity capacity to install them in the first place, because the grid doesn't have the capacity to allow us to do that unless we spend a lot of money upgrading the capacity. And then another issue is with our sites. We want to become more self-sufficient with our electricity generation. So we'd like to install a lot of solar panels on the roofs of our warehouses. This is obviously the ideal solution rather than doing it in fields somewhere. But the limitation of that is that we have an aging infrastructure in the UK for the electricity network. So we're actually limited in the capacity of electricity that we can generate on our warehouses, because if we feed any electricity back onto the grid, we could actually cause a problem. So we have to reduce the amount of solar that we install, which is then limiting the generation that we have. But there will hopefully be more solutions coming down the track with battery storage within our sites, which will hopefully become more cost effective in the future, and we can actually start installing those and be able to store any excess energy from solar generation. It would be absolutely fantastic to have really self-sufficient warehouses where we generate our own energy and then can save and use that at any time of day or night.
So what is a highlight that you can tell us about your career today?
I think when I started 10 years ago in HSEQ, there was very limited scope for progression. There weren't many sustainability jobs on the market or within the business. But as time has gone on, I have been able to be promoted and new job opportunities have opened up. So getting a job that I'm about to go into in the CSR team to focus on sustainable sites is something that's been a massive highlight for me. And it's so exciting that those sort of opportunities are becoming available. And across the logistics industry, these opportunities are becoming more frequent. And I think also when I achieved my Chartered Environmentalist membership, that was something that was really exciting for my career. It was something that I worked hard to achieve, and it shows a level of maturity in your profession that people really look to. So that was a massive highlight. How about you?
A key highlight for me at this current stage of my career is sort of making that jump from being, a member of the team that relies upon the support of everyone else in the team to becoming self-sufficient. So, in the past year or so, taking that step to be able to visit sites on my own to provide that environmental support that they require felt like a big achievement to me. And sort of prove to myself that I'm a valuable member of the team with specific knowledge that can help the business as a whole. So another key highlight for me was visiting Marseille for the week to visit our Tangram training facility to take part in a climate program which focused on in the climate system and our specific strategies as a group to achieving decarbonisation and then ultimately net zero. So being able to travel over to Marseille to take part in that, take on that specialist knowledge and also meet lots of leaders within the business from all countries across the world was a great opportunity to be given.
Yeah, it was a really great networking opportunity, and being able to see how seriously the business is taking sustainability was really great to see.
Definitely.
So what are 3 key skills that have helped you to do your job?
A key skill for me, being at quite a junior stage in my career, is having that willingness and the drive to learn. So making the most of those resources around me, the people I work with, to take on all of that knowledge to ultimately better myself is a key skill. And also being able to take on constructive criticism to then do it better the next time is something that I think is an important skill for me to have. I think resilience, not every day is going to be easy. Not every sort of project that you roll out is going to be a success. So having the resilience to sort of, take the lessons learned from those those failures to ultimately do better next time is, a key skill. And then I think just having, good communication skills across all forums, whether you be talking over the phone, via a Teams call, or meeting face to face with whoever. especially with the the sort of role that we both do, being able to sell our message and drive the different projects that we're trying to drive, being able to communicate as to why that's a good thing is a key skill.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Storytelling is a key skill that we need to have to really make the message engaging, get everyone's attention, raise awareness, and make people want to listen. I also think having an optimistic outlook really helps, because sustainability can be quite a difficult subject when there's a lot of negativity or a lack of understanding around it, and being able to keep going and be optimistic about the future, even when some of the projections people might provide you with are negative and the outlook doesn't look so great. What we're trying to do is something that's really exciting and forward facing, and keeping that positive mindset is really important. And it also helps to convey that message well, because if you say something that's negative, people aren't going to want to listen. And then attention to detail, I think, is absolutely key, because the amount of data that we have to gather and analyse, we have to make sure that that information is all correct and accurate. And a lot of that information is then used in reports that's published publicly and goes to government bodies for regulatory reporting. So we have to make sure attention to detail is spot on.
So, Catherine, how has your background in HR and HSEQ shaped your approach to sustainability, and how will it help you in your future role within CSR?
I think one of the key things there is my understanding of the business. So being able to have experience of lots of different departments, because within HR I was working cross-functionally, so that I spoke to a lot of different people, gaining that network, and then moving into HSEQ, continuing to build that network and my understanding of all the different functions and operations, speaking to the sites. So I think network is definitely part of that, and understanding how our business works. And then some of the personalities in the business, the longer you work somewhere, you get to know people and how to speak to them. So communication is an absolutely key part of our role, and being able to communicate effectively. So getting to know people and how to convince them, how to engage them, has been really important. So Ollie, as a degree apprentice, how do you balance work and study?
So luckily for me, I get given 8 hours a week, one day a week to focus on on the university part of my role. So being given that time to focus solely on whether it be lectures or completing assignments, having that set time away from my day-to-day role, gives me that focus, the level of focus needed to sort of get those assignments over the line. But I mean, just setting clear timelines, sticking to sort of plans, and making sure you're aware of deadlines and stuff is really important in order to keep on top of that workload, especially when you might have a lot of things going on within the day-to-day role as well.
Absolutely. And how has your degree influenced your approach to sustainability?
I think it's sort of broadened my horizons. So I understand that sustainability affects all avenues of supply chains, so from end to end, and not sort of having that blinkered approach where I'm just focusing on our little department, having an appreciation that this is everyone's concern, and it does play a part in everyone's role, as something that my degree has allowed me to appreciate. So, Catherine, what do you see yourself doing within your career over the next few years?
So, as I'm about to move into the European CSR team, I will be working on sustainable sites and focusing on projects that really build on our sustainability as a business, rolling out some really exciting projects. So there's some things that I've begun rolling out within our UK, Ireland and Nordic sites that I can now take to Europe and start rolling them out further. So it's a really exciting opportunity to increase my reach within the business and really influence what we're doing in terms of sustainability. Outside of that, I think the sky is the limit, to be honest, because there's so many new opportunities coming up within environment and sustainability. Who knows what I'll be doing after that? How about you, Ollie?
So within the next few years, I'll hopefully take a step up to becoming an environmental advisor for the business. So being able to be that point of call to help our operations with compliance and sustainability initiatives. Being able to be on the road and be able to visit all of our sites from the Nordics to Ireland to across the UK to be that point of environmental contact for them is something that I'd like to move into. Touch wood, I'll hopefully get the degree over the line as well, which will further develop my understanding of supply chain businesses and also my management skills, which hopefully then may open some doors into a management position for me one day. So, what big changes are on the horizon in terms of sustainability across all job families within logistics?
So, I think one of the key elements will be training and awareness for everybody on sustainability, on CSR, and how everyone has a role to play in sustainability. Literally anyone, no matter what they do, will have some part to play in how we perform as a business in terms of sustainability. So making sure everyone understands their own responsibilities will be really key. I think there's also a lot of development in terms of AI and innovation. So we're going to see a lot more changes in terms of the technologies that are available to us, things that can make our lives easier and improve the way that we do things and make our jobs more sustainable and make the operations that we run more sustainable. So it's a really exciting time because technology is evolving at such a pace that we don't know exactly what's around the corner, but from what we can see right now, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I'd completely agree that I think the level of responsibility across all job families will ultimately increase going forward as we get closer and closer to net zero targets, whether that be 2045 or 2050 net zero targets. In order for us to achieve those, everyone needs to play a part in taking responsibility for sustainability. So, yeah.
Absolutely.